Well. Thank you so much for purposing to be here. All of you that are watching all over the world, thank you. This is yet another beautiful day where we just come and empower and sharpen and edify ourselves in order to see ourselves live a higher life through the very purpose, that very seated assignment that he offered to the world as a solution to its problems. So once again, this is Edwin Peter, the Timeless Transformer. And just before we get started, why don't we echo or make our slogan resounded that everyone should commit themselves to it. And here we go. As it is being displayed, we say, we are timeless transformers, and we commit to live to the fullness of our greatness. Let us just get started. And today is a beautiful day. We're moving on. It is our 84th edition. The season, we are moving on, powerful and strong. We are not giving up. We are going all the way with Transformers Up 84th edition. And our slogan, as it is being relayed there, it says, we are, let us go, 1, 2, 3, we are
timeless transformers.
Yes.
And we commit to live to our greatness.
And we commit to live to our greatness. Welcome aboard, everyone. We commit to live to our greatness. I'm excited because today we're going to deal with something very special. We're going to deal with something very special, something that I believe each and every person, as long as you're still existent in this world, this is so pertinent for your life. You will not remain the same. Okay, today we are speaking about crisis resistant, being crisis resistant. As long as you are still living on this planet Earth, you need to be in knowledge that crisis will be there regardless. But the question is, how do we handle crisis? How do we handle crisis? How do we go about it? Every time we get in a crisis, we get into a panic mode. Your heart starts palpitating so fast. At times your brain shuts down. Your thinking faculties come to an end. They come to a cease. And you're like, oh my goodness, I'm in total disaster. At times you shut down. You get a blackout, a mental blackout. And you're like, how do I go about this? You get in a state of discomfort, anxiety, difficulty, stress, despair, fear, worry. But it is important to understand that crisis is going to be there as long as the earth and the world and humans are still existent. Crisis is inevitable. It is inevitable. But the question is, how do we become crisis resistant? How do we overcome crisis? How do we defy crisis? How do we rise above it? That is the question. But before we get to understand how we rise above it, it is important to understand, what is crisis? What is crisis? Well, in my layman language, I think crisis is unexpected, sudden occurrence. Listen critically. Crisis is unexpected, unexpected, sudden occurrence that is characterized with difficulty, pain, discomfort, maybe anxiety, stress, despair, fear, worry, over which we have no control. That is crisis. I repeat, crisis is unexpected occurrence, unexpected, sudden occurrence that is characterized with discomfort, pain, difficulty, stress, despair, fear, worry, anxiety. Name it, over which you have no control. Why do I say so? Because if you had control over it, then it ceases to become a crisis, because you already know how to deal with it. It won't give you pain. It won't put you in a place of restlessness. It won't subject you to sorrow. It won't subject you to pain and difficulty and anxiety and stress and emotional brokenness. It won't get you to that point if you have control over it. So it becomes a crisis. One, because it is sudden. It is a sudden occurrence, unexpected. And it comes along with pain, discomfort, stress, anxiety, despair, fear, over which you have no control. I want to say one of the Hebrew writers called John, in his Gospels, he wrote in chapter 16, verse 13, he wrote that in this world you shall have so many tribulations, but be of good cheer, because I've overcome. So Jesus predicts that in this world there are going to be so many tribulations, trials, exigencies, upheavals, crises. There are going to be so many of them, but be of good cheer. How can you be of good cheer in the midst of tribulations, in the midst of difficulty, in the midst of sorrow? How can you be cheerful? But he says, I've overcome. But this we ought to understand. Ecclesiastes, one of the greatest, wisest, if not the second in the entire world after Jesus, he did say this in a book of Ecclesiastes. He said in chapter 1, verses 9, that which has been, that which will be, and that which has been is that which will be done again. So there is nothing new under the sun. Whew, I love this. So you mean, he says that which has been, that which will be, and that which has been done, and that which will be done again. So there is nothing new under the sun. That which has been, that which is going to be done, is the one that will be done again. That is what he says. And so there is nothing new under the sun. That means we always having a recycling of events. There is nothing new under the sun, nothing new. Everything has ever happened before. That's why you see a number of times We have a recycling of fashion. Fashion just goes around. The clothings, they go to different generations, and after generation, they recycle back. The hairstyles, the clothings, the shoes, they recycle back. Vintages are starting to come back. Now we're getting into electrical cars and all electrical motorbikes, and all these things were there before there, but they're just being recycled with an upgraded technology. So in other words, all the things we see today, they've never happened before. The crises have happened before. There was a crisis when man fell short of God's glory. That's one. There was a crisis when Cain killed his brother Abel. There was a crisis. In the times of Noah, there was a crisis. And it affected the world. It affected the world. There was a crisis in the days of Noah. And the entire world was crushed. But there were people who survived and went above it. Crises that have been happening, exigencies, upheavals, predicaments, droughts, and famine. Right now, we're in an economic crisis, a fuel crisis. But how do we deal with these things? That means these things are not new, because it has been said by one of the wisest men, King Solomon, a Jew. He says that there is nothing new under the sun. So if it has happened before and people were able to rise above it, go past it, therefore, with the crisis that happens to you, there is a way you can rise above it, defy it, become resistant over it. For if we live, we will be always expecting unexpected, painful, stressful, difficult, anxious moments upon which we may have no control. As long as we are still living in this world, we will always have unexpected, painful, sorrowful, anxious, despairing moments in our lifetime. But how do we rise above these situations? How do we go? Rise above them. How do we get to a point whereby we have the power to go past them? The Chinese have a belief that crisis is opportunity. When crisis comes, it means opportunity. That reminds me of this one narrative, that it's not what happens to you that matters. It is what you do to what happens to you, or how you respond to what happens to you. Your response is what matters to what happens to you, not what happens to you that matters. It is how you respond to it, what action you take. That is what is the most important thing. We are in a state right now, everywhere in the world, they feel the pinch of the fuel crisis as a result of war in Ukraine with Russia. The oil pipelines were tampered with. There is a shortage of fuel, and fuel runs most of the industrial institutions. It affects the economies of the world. So most economies are feeling the pinch. They are being affected. But how we get to a point where that amidst all these crises, you can still live a higher life. You can still live successfully. Remember, I've just mentioned that a crisis is a sudden, unexpected occurrence that subjects you to torment, to fear, to despair, to pain, to difficulty that you have no control over. But if you have no control over, that means you're going to leave yourself to the fate of crisis. Whatever it brings your way, so you're like, whatever comes my way, that's it. I'll go with the wave. I'll go with the tide. If you found yourself in the sea and the ship you're using breaks down and you don't put up a fight, that means you've left the storm to put judgment to your fate. Whatever the storm wants, let it do. No, you fight back. So are we meant to fight back? You don't let yourself, your fate to be determined by the prevailing circumstances, by the prevailing upheavals, by the prevailing situations. You don't let yourself be given in to the fate of the storm. Don't let your fate be determined, judged by your storm, your circumstance, your situation, the discomfort and the pain that is surrounding you. What is your response? You know, Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verses 6 to 8. The same man, King Solomon, he said, sow your seed in the morning and in the evening. Don't keep your hands idle. In midst of crisis, don't give up on yourself. Keep doing something. Don't let your fate be dictated, be determined by what is surrounding you. Hold on to something. Hold on to that wrecked boat. Let that piece of wood make you stay afloat. In other words, when he says, sow your seed, he's telling you what your work, your job, do it in the morning and also do it in the evening. What is it that you still have on you that you can still hold on to? That you can still hold on to, even when the crisis has brought you to a place of being terminated at your place of work, of losing your job, of having nothing to do. There is still something left. You have life. There is a future for you. The future, your future is not ahead of you. It's trapped inside of you. Each and every human being was designed intricately with a coded assignment on the inside of them that they are meant to offer to the world as a solution. So man is a living transactional being, a living solution transactional being. Man is a solutions transactional being. Why? Because he was created, he was wired to offer solutions to the pandemic inflicted world, problem inflicted world, He is the solution. So the thing is, in the midst of crisis, what is it that you see? How are you going to respond? Respond by you getting involved, by doing something. Rise up. Ask yourself, what have I got? My job is gone. Things are not working out right. The salaries have been cut short. They've been subsidized in order for the companies to stay afloat. What do? I have the job. Good. I don't have enough remuneration or wages to take care of my bills. What next? You have something on you. Use what you have to create what you don't have. What is that something? When Moses was hit with a crisis to deliver the children of Israel out of the bondage of the Israelites, out of their famine, out of the slavery, God told him, what do you have in your hands? That is what I'm going to use to deliver you. Because Moses was saying, I'm not good at speaking. I can't do this and the other. He wanted to let the fate of Israel to be dictated by slavery, by the crisis of slavery, by their slave masters, the Egyptians. But God tells him, what do you have in your hands? And he told him, drop that. And he used it. His rod turned into snakes. It swallowed all the other snakes of the magicians. It hit the water and the sea separated. That which you have on the inside of you, the gifting, the talent, the ingenuity, is your capital. Is your capital. It cannot be terminated. You can terminate it from your work, but your capital of the giftings, of the talent, of the ingenuity, the enterprise, and the industriousness on the inside of you will never be terminated. So it is important for you to ask yourself, what do I have? Yes, I may still have the job, but does it sufficiently meet my needs, my bills? If not, what else can I do? That is what King Solomon is saying. Do your job in the morning, your career in the morning. When you break off at 5, others at 5, after your 8 o'clock, your 8-hour job or career duration, go back, sit down. What is it that you have? You're gifted with hands to make cakes like Herbert. You're gifted with singing. You're gifted with writing. You're gifted with poetry. You're gifted with all kinds of giftings and talents. How about you apply them as that they may become another stream of income outside your career? Because the job is where you are paid to develop your work, which is your seeded assignment, which is your gifting, your talent. You are paid to develop your talent, so that one day when you're out of work, you're able to use your talent, your gifting. So what is it that you have? It is what is going to cause you to stay afloat in the midst of crisis. So therefore, I want to ask of you, in the midst of crisis, look around. What have you got? That's why the Chinese, he sees opportunity. In the midst of crisis, what is lacking? Oh, maybe this is opportunity to upgrade my talent, to upgrade my skill, to upgrade myself and be promoted and maybe get to another position that I may be paid highly. Maybe it is the time to upgrade in my career, to upgrade in my gifting, to upgrade my skills, in my talent. That is what you do. This is the time to become innovative, to become industrious, come out with inventories, invent something in the midst of crisis. Amidst crisis, that's when we become so creative and very innovative in terms of coming up with ideas. You start to think, how do I go about it? How do I go about it? Press that energy, put that energy, get that energy into thinking industriously with an enterprising mind. How do I get to survive? How do I get to stay afloat? In that way, you're starting to raise capacity, build capacity, develop capacity. And when the crisis is done, it is going to leave you better than it found you. Therefore, you've used crisis constructively rather than destructively. That is how you use crisis. I'm using crisis to develop myself, to get working on so many things. My capacity is developing, working on this, working on this, working on the other, multitasking in order to see that I'm able to stay afloat, not to sit back and become pitiful and sorrowful and leave my fate to be dictated and determined by the prevailing circumstances. The government cannot help you. Because the government, to be honest, it has no control. If it has control, it would have already helped out people. But it is also a universal global crisis, pandemic, upheaval that they have no control over. So what is happening? They're just studying the tides. And we, the people, are looking up to them. But they don't have control over the world, over the broken oil pipelines. They don't. And what do? We are still trusting in them, yet they don't have control. You ought to step up. 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 Come on. Say it is an opportunity for me to upgrade my skills, to develop my skills, to develop on my talent, to develop, to come up with an innovation, to come up with a creative skill that I can use to boost my salary, to help my salary, to have another stream of income. If not, if you're terminated, you say, this is all I've got. Let me put my energy in it. And as you do, you begin to have a force, an energy, a power that begins to attract people to begin to notice you. They begin to notice how has he been able to stay afloat? How come he's so positive? How come he believes in himself? How come he believes in his idea? How come he is still going on and on? It's because of how you responded. As everyone is pitying themselves, becoming sorrowful, leaving their fate to their situations and circumstances surrounding them. You rise above them. That is what distinguishes you. That's what makes you to live a higher life, a successful life. Use what is trapped on the inside of you. Every time we have is a gifted opportunity for us to redefine our future. To redefine our future. Time is a gift, an opportunity gifted to us in order to redefine our future. And our future is not ahead of you. Your future is hidden on the inside of you. It is inside that talent, that unleashed potential. It is inside that untapped potential, untapped talent, untapped skilling, untapped enterprise, dream, vision. What is that thing? It's the time now. Now. You get hold of it and run with it. And run with it consistently. Run with it. And as you do, it will attract energy. It will have traction that draws people to you. Power. That cohesive force that draws people to recognize, wow, this is amazing. How did he do it? Look at what he's doing. So people are going to start to come to you, to consult you, to help you, to donate to you, to sponsor you, because you have shown something. But if you sit back and pity yourself and cry over yourself, cry all you can, but without action, you will never live to see the life you desire, the future, the dream you desire to become. So in the midst of the storm, the question is, what do you see? What you see will determine what you become. See beyond your circumstances. See beyond your storm. Jesus tells Peter in the storm and told him, walk on the water. Do not put your eyes on the storm. The moment he concentrated on the storm, bang, that was it. Stop concentrating on the storm. Stop concentrating on the crisis. Stop concentrating on, oh, what is the government doing? Everything is going wrong. Begin to have positive energy. See yourself with that idea. See yourself with that other side income worked on. And as you do so, as you fix your eyes on the innovation, on the enterprise, on that dream, on your vision, on that ambition, on that ministry, on that calling, on that gifting, as you concentrate on it, the negative energy is sucked out of you and positive energy comes in. And when positive energy comes in, man, you are becoming a force undeniable. You become a center of attraction and you begin to draw people to believe in you. That is what favor means, because people start to see a person full of focus, full of vision. And people want to associate themselves with people who have a vision, who can see beyond themselves, beyond their circumstances, beyond their situations. You have got something on the inside of you. The future is not ahead of you. It's hidden on the inside of you. See that in the midst of the storm. Get hold of it. Develop that skill. Develop that capacity. Enlarge your capacity. Build your capacity. Increase your capacity in that dream, in that vision, in that project, in that ambition, in that other stream of income besides your career job. Develop it. As you develop it, whoo, man, you become a force to reckon with. A force undeniable, an infallible gem that cannot be denied, that cannot be changed. Everyone begins to get attracted to you. They will begin to come in. to come in to help you. So crisis resistance starts with you, with your mindset, with how you see things, believing in yourself, saying, I will rise above this. But it starts with you seeing yourself rise above it. And then asking yourself, what is it that I've got? And then what you've got, do not let it just stay idle. Put it into function. Action without function is a mere sensation in the moment. Action without function is a mere sensation in the moment. It will not yield to anything. It will not yield to fruit. So, my dear community, our nation of Transformers Hub, I'm so humbled to speak to you today that you've got something in you that you can use in the midst of the crisis in order to rise above it, in order to become crisis resistant. And it is hidden in the inside of you. All you need to do is to do a self-evaluation and get to your self-discovery in order for you to rise above your situation by responding in faith, in belief, and in hope that this will work, and get it into action, function, because action or zeal or desire without function is a mere sensation in a moment. It is only for a time. You just feel excited for a time, and then that's it. It won't bear fruit. You need to start acting now. Act by using what you have in the midst of the crisis, and you rise above the crisis. Once again, thank you so much. It is powerful. Next time when I come, I'll give you the benefits of rising above the crisis, benefits of a crisis. Remember, a crisis is an opportunity. It's an opportunity clothed in opposition combat. Crisis is opportunity. Is opportunity disguised in opposition, combats. Do not be afraid of it. It is your opportunity. Take hold of it, and you will see yourself rise above the storm. My name is Edwin Peter, the Timeless Transformer. I'm humbled to be here today. Bless you, love you, catch you next time, same time. This has been your very own Edwin Peter, the Timeless Transformer. Looking forward to see you again as we discuss the benefits of crisis. Thank you so much. Catch you later. Bye-bye.